Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all you coaches, gymnasts, and gym owners around the world. Welcome to Gage. Al Fong here. I'm with my trusty cohorts in crime, Miss Carla, Miss Chelsea, right over here, having a lot of fun. And we're here to present another Zoom clinic for everybody that's interested and people who would like to know what makes Gage tick to do gymnastics Gage style. So really excited to be here. It's fun. I had a really big weekend and I just came in exhausted yesterday. We have an exclusive camp here with 15 kids from Gem State. Hello, Gem State. I came back from the U.S. Classic where my elite gymnasts had to compete to try to make the national championships, and we did. So we're busy training right now as we speak. We have my elite training for the championships, and we have this exclusive camp going on right now. But I took a little time out to spend with you so we can talk about one of my gymnastics tools that we use all the time at Gage, and it's called the Clear Hip Machine. So everyone knows what a clear hip is. Well, I have this machine, and it's really a stack of mats that we affectionately called a machine because what it does, it helps me process gymnasts through quickly to learn how to swing from a handstand to a handstand, whether they're doing circles like clear hips to toe hands to inwards, you name it. That's what we do. So we're going to get started on this topic. If you're ready to go, let's tackle this thing. So I'm going to use my Canva here. So when I started my very first gym in Blue Springs. That's been a long time ago. So from that point in time, I rented a 5,000 square foot gym and I decided that I wanted to be a gym coach. And then because of that, I had to be a gym owner. Now, of course, I'm telling everybody that's out there watching, that's really backward. I mean, today you would never think about it. You never should think about opening up a gym and having a team first and then building a business around it. It's got to be the other way around. But, we can talk about that in a later discussion. That was then, this is now. So here I was, a bona fide gym owner. I mean, really, I was a coach, but I was a gym owner, which means I did everything back then. Now, you got to remember, way back then, you didn't have lots and lots of private gyms out there. You had a lot of YMCA's, parks and recs, things of that nature. Community gyms that you had to do things like you had to come in early, set up equipment, and you'd actually bring it out on the floor because it was a multi-use gym. And then you had to take your bars, hook them up. You had to take your beams and put them in place. You had to take a floor mat, roll out the carpets and put on the mats and all that stuff. But having an actual gym with just gymnastics was pretty rare. Not that many. So here I was back then, a gym owner. And I taught preschool. I taught recreation classes. I answered the telephones. I did my bookkeeping. I cleaned the bathrooms. I vacuumed the floor. I did all of that stuff. And here, remember, I was a gymnastics coach. It allowed me to coach gymnastics because from a very long time, from the beginning, when I first decided to open up my gym, I decided I wanted to coach Olympians. I mean, what a concept, right? Here you are, you're really getting started in the gymnastics world and definitely getting started in the gymnastics business, but you have lofty ambitions of being an Olympic coach. That was me. That was me. In fact, I had an answering machine way back. Some of you guys remember the old answering machine with the tape? If people called me and I couldn't answer because I was teaching preschool, I had on there, sorry, busy right now. I'm too busy teaching Olympians. This is way back in 1979. And if people you have my cell phone now, you're going to hear almost identically the same message. So either that shows you how committed and passionate I was or how crazy I was, depending on how you look at it. I was officially a gymnastics coach, and my main goal was to train Olympians, which means I didn't want to go to a YMCA. I didn't want to teach in a school district. I didn't want to go to a SOCO. I didn't want to do all those things that traditionally gym people would gravitate to because the equipment's already there, and you have people who are taking classes, and you have a semblance of a business already that encompasses other sports besides gymnastics, and then would fit you in as a sport. I already knew that I couldn't really train at the highest level as long as I was in one of those establishments. And there was nobody who's going to be able to support me financially because it does take money to train, to travel, to buy equipment, to have uniforms and all that. And who's going to do that? You even though it's nonprofit, you're not going to find an independent businessman who just loves gymnastics or who loves Alfong and says, "Here, I'm going to give you $500,000 to make you, give you the opportunity to train Olympians." That wasn't going to happen. So I had to actually get into my own business. Really, way back then, try to imagine this. Some young punk kid that's just fresh out of college says he's going to be a gymnastics coach. No one dreamed that I'd ever make this thing. No one even dreamed that I'd actually have a business and it'd be sustainable, and that after all these years, 43 something years, I'm still standing. No one even believed that. And I guess, maybe my dad was skeptical. I mean, he had a failed business and it didn't work well for him, so he was scared to death. And me, I was just too dumb not to know that I couldn't. I mean, my passion was there, and I know that I wanted it, and there was no way out. I just decided, this is what you're going to do, so go ahead and go for it. Here we are, 5,000 square foot gym. Now, some of you people that are watching, maybe you can relate, but I bet you there's a lot of people who are in gyms that are maybe twice the size or 3 times the size. And my gym right now is 25,000 square feet. That's in one gym. Then I have another gym that's 12.5. But 5,000 square feet, a gym back then, I had a floor exercise mat, no springs. I had one pommel horse. I had one vault. I had two beams. I had one high beam and a low beam. I had mats that kind of fit underneath, and some were okay, some weren't so hot. I had an uneven set of bars. I had a single bar. And these, by the way, were used. I couldn't buy brand new, so I bought them used. Remember Nissan? Remember Gym Master? Those names. So if you are as old as I am, you would remember it, but you younger people, you won't even know those names. I had two trampolines that you can buy, it was their yard trampolines. And that's about it. That is all. So you we're going to teach classes, and you're going to have a team with those kinds of pieces of equipment, which means you had to kind of make up things. You had to make up your own stations. If you couldn't have an actual mat that was made for gymnastics, well, you went over to a hotel and got an old mattress that they didn't want anymore. And I'm not even sure if that's legal, really, but we got mats from springs, from these mattresses. And then we would cover it with some kind of a tarp, and we duct tape it. Oh, remember duct tape? Oh, I remember those days. I mean, the duct tape was your friend. When you had your own gym, you used it a lot to fix things, to hide things, to hold things in place. That was me. And I know I'm speaking to some of you coaches out there who can completely relate to what I was talking about. So I didn't have lots and lots of equipment. So I had to rely on my athletes to own up to what their goals were and be responsible, because I was too busy teaching classes to pay the bills, and I could only coach the team for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. But I wanted them to come in early enough to do exercises, to stretch, body awareness type things, and to help generally keep the gym nice and orderly so that we could have a team workout. And in the very beginning, this is way back. Some of you coaches don't even know this, but we have an age group system right now that's level 4, 5, well actually 3, level 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10. That's today. Back then, it was class 1, 2, and 3. So class 3 was your beginner level. Then you had class 2, and then your advanced, what everyone strived to have as a team or as a coach, was class 1. And that's where you could go to nationals, and that's where you could, really get out there and possibly gets the attention of one of the few schools back then that even offered gymnastics scholarships. Okay, so it wasn't very popular, not like it is right now. So all of these things taking place in a 5,000 square foot gym. I started off with class 3 only because that's what you do. So what do you do as a coach? You hand pick these little girls, and they look about the same size. They have the same ability, and they're cute. And you say, well, I'm going to take my time and build them. And first of all, you have to educate the parents. And you got to tell them what your vision is for these little girls and how they're going to become athletes that will someday be in a position to get a college scholarship. And someday there might be one of these girls who could actually try out for the Olympics. Now, these are bold statements from someone who's just fresh out of college and has a 5,000 square foot gym and only one floor that doesn't even have any springs in it. Okay? But again, I was too naive and too passionate to know that I couldn't do it. One of the things that I used all the time, because I asked my gymnasts to actually do things without me while I was teaching preschool or recreation classes, where they had to do exercises, they had to stretch, but they also had to work bars. So this is where the clear hip machine started. I had a single bar, a gym master, that I could raise or lower, and I had either a old box or maybe an old spool. Remember those spools in the schoolyard with all the wire? I took one of those spools and I made it close enough. I patted it and brought it close enough to the bar, and I started teaching gymnasts how to kick to a handstand and then swing around in a circle. Now, a circle, by my definition back then, was a clear hip circle. But really, you can extend that to a toe hand and a stalder, okay? And then you can pirouette out of them. So that's how I started with giving kids assignments where they had to practice going from a spool, stand up to a handstand on a single bar, and start swinging. So it go handstand, drop into a hip circle. Then later on, a hip circle that you don't touch the bar on your hips. And then later on, try to go clear hip and finally go back to a handstand again, because in gymnastics and in my philosophy, you always swing from a handstand. So handstand, circle, handstand. It worked back then, and of course, it wasn't pretty. Gymnastics wasn't pretty, not like it is today, but it got the job done, and we were able to teach people, assuming that they were passionate and they were driven enough to follow their dream and to be responsible for their own success. I had some gymnasts who were, and of course you can imagine I had some gymnasts who weren't so committed. So let me just, here's an introduction. I'm going to let this roll and just listen to it. Go.
Introducing the Clear Hip Machine. So this is going to be one of my original DIY, do-it-yourself stations for bars. So this is how we train a lot of our kids when we started working circles for the first time. Enjoy. This is something I've used for 25 years. It worked then and it'll work now. Okay, here we go.
Oh, okay. So there's my little introduction. All right, now number 2. Let's stop this for a second, if you can. Or no, I'm going to stop. You go ahead and go to that next video, if you could. All right. So Leanne Wong. If you guys know anybody, if you're current with gymnasts today, then you know Leanne Wong. Okay, Olympics, world champions, second all around, won the U.S. Classic just last week. Leanne Wong. So here she is. 3 years ago, she's actually going to show you how you swing on a bar, a single bar, and you actually start doing circles. And she learned this from a clear hip machine. Miss Carla, if you can go ahead and let this roll. There's the handstand. There's a toe. There's another toe to a stalder. Another stalder to an inward. And she learned that from Okay, so Alex, you know you've been coaching with me for a while, and you're extremely good on bars and everything that you're doing, and you like using my tools.
Yes.
So, what do you think about the clear machine? You like it? Awesome.
It's yeah, just like everything else in here, it gets the kids to process quickly, and ups the learning curve by a lot, and it's very unique to GAGE, and it's very, very smart, very well thought out, and the kids are able to learn very, very fast.
Okay, so, but you probably don't know the history of the clear machine, so I'm going to tell you. And it's kind of comical, but it helps you understand going forward as a coach, but you need to do it. If you're passionate as a coach gymnastics, you want to do it safely with the kids, and that's awesome. So when I first started my gym, it was a 5,000 square foot gym. I had one set of bars, I had one beam, I had one floor that wasn't spring loaded. I had vaulting, the old style vaulting, and here I was, a gym owner. Hey, I was the gym owner, but I had to answer the phones, I had to clean the toilets, I had to teach preschool, I had to teach rec classes, and I had a team. But back then, it wasn't USAG 10, 9, 8, it was class 1, class 2, class 3, which is beginner, right? I had all those duties, and it was just me and maybe one other coach. I was wearing all of them. So, I had to teach preschool and recreation classes from about 4 to 7. Then from 7 on to 9, then we'd have a practice. One of the problems I had was I only had one set of bars, and I had girls who started before 7 o'clock. They started at 6. They had to do exercises and stretch on their own, and they had to work bars. Now, I'm a big believer. I love bars. I'm a big believer that in learning how to swing bars, you have to start from a handstand, circle, and go back to a handstand. Now, when you're teaching a certain skill, it's certainly good to go horizontal, but there's times where you have to start from a handstand. My girls weren't strong enough. They're beginners. They couldn't catch, they couldn't jump. So what I did was I created a platform, just a platform to stand on, right in front of a bar, and I taught them how to walk to the bar, kick up their hands. So they started all by themselves, no spot, no fear, because they had plenty of math, and swing again. And so that became the clear hip machine. And then we used a simple rule. If you do it once, just do the hip circle. That's all, just a hip circle. Handstand, hip circle. If you do it well enough, try to do a hip circle without touching the bar. Now these are unsophisticated kids. They're beginner kids. You gotta remember this is back in the late 70s, early 90s. So gymnastics wasn't what it is back then. I mean, like now. So then, if they did one clear hip circle without touching the bar, I created a rule. Make one, do two. Okay? Now, if you make two, you do three. After the third one, then you go back to the box, that platform. And that was a humble beginning of the clear hip, which, as it turns out, was brilliant because the kids really started to swing. They really had a good time, and they could do it quickly. You could move a line of 6 people through really quickly. So they got more turns in than if I was there spotting them through every handstand. Because remember, I'm still teaching recreation classes at the same time. But because of that, I discovered you could teach clears, you could teach toe hands, stalters, inwards, but you could do everything. So the video that I'm going to show shows how we're doing it now. This is 21st century, and you get to see the beginning and the end with the hand doing all the circles as if she was on a platform. That's the clear hip machine. That's the magic of the clear hip machine, and that's why I'll always be a part of GAGE's iconic stations.
Wow,
good.
That's cool. Awesome.
Okay. So you heard me talk about this handstand thing, right? My philosophy in swinging bars from way back in 1979 to the present. Everything starts from a handstand. If you're going to swing bars successfully, a circle starts from a handstand, goes back to a handstand. A back giant starts from a handstand and goes to a handstand. A front giant, handstand, handstand, right? So one of the drills that we always teach our coaches as they work with young children and our gymnasts when they're starting to develop how to swing comfortably, and really fall in love with swinging on bars, I always call it that, they have to learn the concept of swinging to a handstand and stopping long enough, pausing long enough in the handstand to say 1001. So try to imagine this, a giant swing through, 1001, swing through again, 1001. So you see gymnasts a lot of times who are they're all over the giants. They love it and they're swinging like crazy, right? And they're swinging, they're going past the handstand, and they're doing a wonderful job, and it looks good. But in order to start doing things like setting up for a release, setting up for a dismount, getting into a pirouette, or doing something of that nature, you have to learn how to control the giant. So one of the things that we do as coaches, GAGE coaches, we teach the gymnast how to swing a giant that's fast, that goes over, a giant that goes right to a handstand, and a giant that intentionally pops out early where you can't complete it at all. All right? Late, right on, early, intentionally. This drill that we're showing, if you can, go ahead and show this, count 1001, illustrates this 1001 concept. 1001, 1001, 1001. Okay, what that does, it allows the gymnast to pause enough to prepare herself for whatever skill she's going to do, whether it's a release or a dismount or a pirouette, or maybe a change from overhand to underhand. Anything that involves a handstand, this 1001 is important. Okay, next. And it's the more of the same, but I have at GAGE, it's what I call a bar cage. All right, and it's a single bar, and we put mats on the side just to be safe. We have mats underneath, and they're able to swing safely. That's why I call it a bar cage. So you're going to see my gymnast doing the same thing in this bar cage. Go ahead, Carla. And it's intentionally low, where the gymnast has to bend her knees to get to a handstand. And the reason I want that is because if they go haywire, or if they go crazy, they can stop the madness by just dragging their feet on the yellow mat, and they don't go swinging off into the sunset. It's very safe. So they still finish from a handstand to a handstand, and they still have to straighten their legs. You can see what she's doing. So you've seen how she went 1001 and she started adding circles. This is with that bar cage. All right, now we are going to start the gymnast off from the very beginning to learn how to use the quote, clear hip machine, unquote. Now, some of you folks have been to my gym, many of you haven't. You're going to see that I have a stack of mats that we've made. We've worked on it real hard to make it. It's called the Alfong spotting blocks. And we're going to be using the tower of the Alfong spotting blocks and a plank that's adjustable, so we can actually teach kids how to swing from a handstand to a handstand. So it's very sophisticated. 4 feet in the air, 5 feet in the air. The mats are about 3 feet away from where the gymnast has to step to the handstand. So it's going to be scary, especially for a beginner gymnast. And beginner gymnasts typically are the ones who need this clear hip machine. If I tried to start these gymnasts from the very beginning on mats that are stacked up 4 feet high and 5 feet high, and ask them to go to a handstand on a bar, I would have a hard time talking them into it. There'd be a lot of fear going on. You'd be looking at their face, and they'd have that fear look, or they wouldn't even try at all. And at GAGE, one of the things we work really hard at doing, is safety and making sure the gymnast can actually learn something without fear. Zero, none. It's very possible, and we do this all the time. And the clear hip machine is one of the stellar events where we can make this thing happen. But you got to start from the beginning. So now I have here learning to step to the bar. Everything right now is on the floor. I have a floor bar, I have a panel mat, and I have either 8-incher or something soft. The gymnasts are going to learn from the very beginning how to step. They have to walk right to the edge of the panel mat, and without stopping, attempt to kick to a handstand. Roll this, Miss Carla, and just see what happens. Now this is the very beginning, That's the first thing they do is learn. And I'm actually talking, so you can see there's no movement. But look, you have someone standing on the right side on the bar and someone on the left side. That's just to keep the bar in place. So now you get this team involvement. You have this team camaraderie. They're all helping each other. They're getting ready to process, which means they're moving a large group of people through a station in a very short period of time. And I'm talking, you can see that I'm talking and the kids are listening. So, bear with me. You probably don't even hear me talking because I think we muted this on purpose, which is fine. But once we get cooking, you're going to see. They're going to walk, 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 and without stopping, they're going to attempt to kick right to a handstand. The paddle mat is set intentionally too close to the bar. Intentionally. This is how you start. Okay. Oh, look at that. Look how intentional that was, right? Well, because I'm working with small children, even younger than these girls. Now, these girls are young, but now we're starting kids as young as 6 and 7 years old doing this, right? They have to learn how to bridge that gap without falling over and without missing their hands. And they're going to step, step, step without stopping and kick toward a handstand. Now you can see they're not actually going to the handstand yet, but you definitely will see them do it later on. Remember, this is something that we're starting to teach so that eventually they will be able to do it with the mats that are going to be 2 feet high and 3 feet high, and then ultimately 4 feet and 5 feet. There we go. Now you can see the process working. They were successful with the mat a foot away. Now they're going to do the same thing with the panel mat about 1.5 feet away. Same thing. I know you can't hear me, but I mean they're listening to me, and I'm actually giving a little clinic. There we go. Same thing. Now remember, we just moved that mat back. They don't need a spot right now because they're way too close to the floor. And that's a key secret. I might want you girls, you coaches, to remember. We pride ourselves in teaching our gymnasts to be independent. And actually, a lot of our gymnasts don't even like to be spotted. They're so used to doing things by themselves. And this is one of the main things that we do to start this process. And all right, now we are. Where are you? Using the spotter? Did I go past that, or do we not? Oh, here we go. All right. So now we. Oh, I know. Because I'm tapping this. All right. Go ahead and play this. Let's see what happens. I actually have now, and just to illustrate, when you're working with young children, there's absolutely nothing wrong and everything right actually to having a spotter help the gymnast feel comfortable enough to walk, 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 no hesitation, go right to the bar. That's where the spotter comes in. And that's where it is absolutely okay. But after a while, the gymnast won't need that. But you can see the process. Now, the paddle mat was 1.5 feet away. Now it's actually 2.5 feet away. We're getting there. Ultimately, it's going to be about 3.5 feet away by the time we're all done. Everything's still low to the ground. If they make a mistake, they know they're going to be safe. I know they're going to be safe. And I look at the faces of my gymnasts back then and even now. It's important. If I see a confident looking face, a smiling face, I'm good. If I see a crying face or fearful face, then I know we have to make the adjustment so we get to a point where there is no fear. That's important. That's a hallmark of GAGE gymnastics. Gymnastics without fear. All right, you can see that. That's an itty bitty. That was these girls that you're seeing right now. These are my current 2024 elite gymnasts, my national team kids. Right now you're seeing them. These are 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Now they are some of the best gymnasts right now in the junior division in the USA. But you saw them 3 years ago doing this drill. All right, now let's go see if I can pull this off. Because the next one should say hit the wall. Can you? All right, good. Now, again, we're working with children. So I don't want to get all caught up in coaching jargon, 90 degree, biomechanical. I don't even want to talk angle. All I want to do is I want the gymnasts to do everything they can to hit the wall. Okay, so that means handstand, hit the wall or fall. And that's all they need to know. They're going to try to hit the wall, which means go all the way up to handstand, or fall over. Both are intentional. Both are okay because that means they're going to be safe, one way or the other. And you're letting it roll, right? Okay, yeah, you can see me talking. Someone told me to shut up, so we can show you guys, so we can show you what's going on, right? Oh, okay, okay, okay. Now look at them. Look at these little guys. You see them now in the present, and now they're bigger. Now they are bona fide elite gymnasts. Now some of these guys are going to make the national team this year, and some of these guys, I'm making a bold statement, are actually going to make the Olympic team. Yeah, there you go. There, I said it. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm not reserved about it. That's what's going to happen. You see it? That's fall. Okay, so remember, handstand. Okay, hit the wall or fall, because that's going to happen a lot when we start raising the bar. Okay, literally raising the bar from the floor to 2 feet to 3 feet to 4 feet. I got to know they can do that safely. And I don't know, what am I talking about anyway, Carla? I'm just blabbing, aren't I? Just blah 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 blah. Oh, I think I'm explaining to them now. I want them to hit the wall. So maybe I actually told them to fall on purpose. Now let's see. Let's see if they actually do this. Because look at that. Look at Chelsea. Look how cooperative they are. Don't they look like little angels? Well, I mean, right? Yeah, you and I know there. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm teaching them how to fall properly. So if they go past the handstand, they're gonna pirouette out and be safe. They're they're not gonna land on the stomach. They're actually gonna land on the feet. That was important for me to know that they're gonna be safe if they don't actually hit the wall and they're starting to circle. Okay. Oh, you're ahead of me. Oh, not good. Yeah. All right. Take a look. 2 panel mats. So what did I just do? I raised the bar. I went from a floor bar now up to a 2 foot bar. I mean a 2 foot off the floor. All right. When you start doing that, now it gets a little creepy for some people because now it's a little higher. It takes a little time to adjust mentally. Now the gymnasts have got to rethink this. They can't just go haphazard. They got to really think into this. They have to do a better job of target shooting that bar and hitting it with their hands. Let's see. Now you see that concept. Hit the wall or fall. Oh, didn't come close. So the goal is to hit the wall or fall. That means go all the way up to a handstand, and it doesn't bother me at all if they go past the handstand and fall over. In fact, that's what I prefer because that means they're really trying to get all the way up to a handstand. That's pretty close for Miss Amelia. By the way, these girls are there's hitting the wall. These girls are fabulous bar swingers now, but just wait till you see them in a year. They're going to be even more fabulous. That's a promise. There you go. Hit the wall. So you hit the wall. Good. What that means is they're going from that handstand. That's exactly what I want before they start swinging. This bar is there. Or fall. All right. Next video. We have now graduated to the falling spotting blocks on a real bar. Not a floor bar, but a real bar. And in this case, we're using the low bar. Okay. Uh, this this is a clear hip machine with the Alfong spotting blocks. You can see the tower that's underneath is white, and then you can see a plank that's on top. And the reason why this is important is because we're going to be able to move the plank back and forth depending on the height of the gymnast. If the gymnast is short, we got to move the plank closer to the bar so that she can kick to a handstand. If the gymnast is tall, we got to move the plank backward. That's that orange mat we're talking about. So again, here I am giving instruction. I'm really talking to coaches, but you're being a part of it. Now it's a good idea to start your spotting again with a spotter in between the mat and the bar. just for safety's sake. But once you feel comfortable as a coach and they feel comfortable as a gymnast that they can do this without missing the bar or falling and landing on the bar, then you don't have to spot it anymore. You see how Mr. Austin adjusted that plank, got it in closer for the gymnast. And that in itself is a lesson for whatever the day. There's that concept: hit the wall or fall, both are okay, which means they're absolutely trying to go to a handstand no matter what. And that's why I don't care if they fall over. I do care that they know how to fall properly so that they don't sprain an ankle or they do something that might injure them, or mentally it sets them back because now they're afraid. Okay, the adjustable planks. I think we saw. Let's go ahead and play that. Let me see, because I mean, some of these videos, folks, you know this. It's kind of redundant. You're seeing the same thing over and over, but there's nothing wrong with that. You're kind of watching an actual practice, so you don't see something just once and then you forget it. You actually watch it over and over again and let it sink in. So here you see them going from a wall, okay, the handstand, into the back hip circle, your very first circle as a gymnast. Now you can see why we need to have the adjustable plank, because some girls are taller, and if that plank was too close, they're going to hit their feet on the plank. And so some of these smaller gymnasts can fit just fine, but it's a little too far, so they have to adjust the plank to accommodate the height. All right, they're feeling comfortable. I know the coach is feeling comfortable. Me, as an observer watching this video, I'm feeling really comfortable knowing these girls are going to be safe whether they actually get to a handstand or not. And there's your, if you can remember back maybe 10 minutes ago, we had an exercise 1001, swing a giant, 1001, swing a giant, 1001. Same thing, only they're kicking that. All right, next one. Now we are actually going to start our very first clear hip. So this clear hip machine now is going to live up to his name, with the gymnast actually performing the very first clear hip. I didn't say to a handstand, I just said from a handstand, clear hip. That means hips away from the bar, and they're going to swing sufficiently enough to get back to the plank where they started. Hit the wall, clear hip, back to the plank. And you might see the plank moving back and forth. That's the responsibility of the gymnast who's waiting. And you see the interaction between gymnasts and the equipment, and gymnasts and the coach. And everybody is working together, teamwork-wise. This becomes a wonderful event where it teaches lots of things more than just the actual skill itself. Team building, if you will, cooperation, communication, um, learning how to fall properly, to be successful for your own skill. Well, eventually, the whole goal is we want these gymnasts to do this by themselves with the coach away from them, so the coach can go to another bar or another event and actually be coaching someone else. All right, so there's that clear hip. I didn't ask for a handstand, but later I will. Let's see if I see it in the next video. All right, let's stop this for 1 second. Now we have lots of GAGE rules, lots of gymnast rules to help you become a better gymnast when you're training. In this case, it's on bars and involves learning to do more than one circle at a time, because I want my gymnasts to really fall in love with swinging bars. And you can't do that one skill at a time. So here's the rule. If you make one, then you do two. If you make two, then you do three. If you make three, then you go to another circle. Here's the very beginning stages of a clear hips machine, and using this rule. Make one, do two. Make two, do three. Make three, different circle. All right? So there's one, there's two. That's a good start. If you make one, do two. Is it pretty? Probably not. Do I care? I definitely don't care. I definitely don't care, because they're just learning how to swing. They're just getting started. Do the hips hit the bar? Probably. Okay. Again, I don't care. You got to start somewhere. But here's what I do want you to see. Look how look at their face. They're not afraid, and they're not getting hurt, and they're enjoying it because they're feeling success. Make one, do two. Make two, do three. There we go, Evie. There we go. Good job to you. Make one, do two. Make two, do three. Boom, 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 boom. And then use the orange plank to be the target to go back to. I don't know. I'm talking. Oh, you know what they're doing? They're trying to make things even better. Okay? Trying to make things even better. So they're raising the plank. The plank is about, oh, I know, maybe 4.5 feet high. Well, we need to go higher now. So they are using a panel mat. So the plank will stay, but now they're going to use the panel mat. So now they're going to make it easier for them to get into a handstand. And if you can see it, they're still far away from the bar, but it allows them to swing easier. So handstand to a handstand, whether it's a clear hip or whether it's a toe hand or whether it's a stalker. Check it, check it, check it. Coaches know what they're doing. They're helping with this thing. Gymnasts are ready. The person on deck is ready. That gymnast is going to help slide that mat back and forth, because after you go one and do two and do three, you're going to actually target shoot a mat that's above the bar on purpose. You're going to target shoot. Ah, there we go. Is that the end of that video? Oh, well, then again, so let's see the next one. But so the gymnast actually, the person that was on deck actually moved that mat too soon, but she didn't die, right? That was good. That's a positive. So now, and she's more likely to do it again because she knows it was something that was okay. Can you go to the next one? Oh, I went too fast. I went too far. Whoop, where am I? Working out. Oh, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, and so they're now target shooting, aren't they? They should. Yep. Oh, they missed it, but the target's there. You just got to shoot for it. It's that. In case you don't know, it's that blue panel mat that we're talking about. Target, shoot to the mat. There we go. I didn't have to talk about angles. There's no need to. I didn't have to biomechanically bore them to death. I just gave them something physical to look at to shoot for, and it's above the bar. So I'm not asking for a handstand. I'm just looking for them to shoot above what they normally feel comfortable on a clear hip circle and try to go to that blue mat. Because later on it's more mats and more mats and more mats, and sooner than later it becomes a clear hip circle subliminally, and they don't even know it. A clear hip circle to a handstand. So you can easily have a team of 8 people moving very quickly, and even more, using this station. Oh, she's trying. You can tell she's trying to hit that target. She just happened to miss it. But she'll try it again, and maybe she'll actually hit the blue. Okay, good. Now, as a coach, I know there's things wrong with it. I know that she's swinging in too close. I know that she needs to shift her hands. But, she's just learning. So if I tried to give them all that information, they're not going to grasp it anyway. It's too much. Did you see Evie? She went almost to the handstand because she's trying to shoot to that target. She's trying to hit that blue mat. And she succeeded. And swing. Yeah, there you go. So I don't really care if they didn't shift their hands quickly enough. I don't care if they got in too close to the hips. Numbers will solve that. Doing it over and over will solve that, okay, organically. So you don't have to talk a lot as a coach. You just let it play itself out. All right. Are we at the where? The clear hip, working clear hip? Working out. Where am I? Where did I go? Where did I go? Oh man. I know I have it somewhere. That's it. Working clear hip. Good. All right. So you have some of our older kids actually using it, and they're going to maybe do more than just a clear hip. I don't know. I couldn't remember what this video was, But it doesn't matter. I mean, you're getting to see this clear hip in action for more than just a clear hip. I think we're going to see a clear hip and a toe hand, or an attempt at a toe hand. So there's make one, two, there we go. Make one, do two. Make two, do three. Make three, go to another circle. So there, everyone see that? Clear, 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 toe. So clear, 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 toe. Oh, there we go. There's that gauge rule. It's solidly in place, and these people are embracing it. So it could be a clear. Remember, it could be a toe, or it could be a stalder, or it could be an inward. It's just a great machine where kids get to work things at a very fast pace. So you get more numbers in a shorter period of time. And because of that, you're concentrating way more. You don't have time to talk or, to get distracted and all those things that kind of inhibit your gymnastics or makes it not only, irritating, but dangerous. Okay, we don't want a dangerous situation. There's make one, do two, make two, do three, make three. You missed it. No, it's okay. She knows how to fall. She twisted out of it. No problem. Make one, do two, make two, do three. All right. So I'm not really over there coaching, telling him, "Oh, this wasn't high enough. Oh, you didn't swing hard enough. Oh, you didn't shift your hand." I'm not saying any of that, and neither are my coaches. So just letting these kids work it out. Go ahead, Darla. It's called working out, and you see it. They're just working out. It's numbers, guys. It's numbers. And it's numbers without the coach talking all the time. It's without telling them, oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you didn't do that. Oh, because you know what you're really saying as a coach. You don't even realize it. If you're talking, chattering all the time, you're saying, no, you're a failure. No, you're a failure. No, you're a failure. Well, I know, that gets old. And you don't even know you're doing that, coaches. But that's actually what you're saying. No, you're a failure. No, you're a failure. That just doesn't go well with positive gymnastics. It doesn't go with progressive gymnastics. Give them the big picture and then let them go. As long as they're safe, as long as they're concentrating, now it's a numbers game. And guess what? For all you beginner coaches who think that if they have poor form now, it's going to haunt them for the rest of their lives, that's not true. That's not true. That's one of those myths that someone told you about. Okay? I'm just telling you that's not true. Because I've got a lot of routines here I'm going to show you at the end of this video. And you're going to love these routines. And they learned how to swing exactly like I'm showing you right now. But their form's just fine. So they didn't become stunted. They didn't become goofy gymnasts. They became great gymnasts. Just training. So it's more of the same, right? From a different angle. I don't know about you coaches, but for me, I can never watch it enough. I can always, whether I'm watching vaulting or beam or bars, it's always good to see different angles. It's always to see different kids doing the same and the same and the same. So if you can only imagine, 1979 to the present, that's over 4 decades of doing the same thing, teaching all these multiple groups of kids over the generations how to swing. So it was good back then. It was good 20 years ago. It was good 10 years ago. It's good today. So in my exclusive camp right now, going on like right now with these Gem State gymnasts, they're going to be using this station to bring back home to their gym the same thing, the same way. And it's going to make their gymnasts better. There you go, man. There we got some swing going on. I didn't tell them to go to a handstand. It just naturally happened. Oh, then she had a mat. That's a wonderful thing. All right. If she peels, she's going to be safe. And she knows she's going to be safe. And if you know you're going to be safe, you don't have that fearful look on your face and you don't have that balking thing that some people have where you don't even want to go. There's your clear hip. There's your toe hand. See that? Just training. We're rifling through at a pretty fast rate, guys. Okay? All because we have the clear up machine. All because they're starting from a handstand and going to a handstand. Again, yeah, do the arms need to be straighter? Yes, of course. Does she need to shift her hands faster? Yeah, probably. Do I care? No, it's just it'll happen. It just does. It just does. And that's without a coach constantly reminding them they did things wrong. All right, so we had another exclusive gym. It was Stacy's Gymnastics from St. Louis. Hi gals, if you're watching this. Hi coaches, if you're watching this. And I'm taking them through this. So this camp was what, Miss Carla, 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. And so these kids were eager. They were passionate, and they wanted to learn safely, just like Gage. So now, if can you remember, about 15 months ago, we had our elites. When they were 3 years ago, they were demonstrating how to use this, and now you have a club that's visiting Gage, using the same station and the same lead ups and the same teamwork. And we're going to go from a panel mat and the bar that's actually on the floor to something that gravitates higher and higher. Now, let's go ahead and just pop the next video because it's more the same, but I think we actually have it raised. Now, yeah, look at it. Now, look, here's some other components of the Alfong spotting blocks. These are the half planks. And we're able to raise that bar now to roughly about 3 feet, maybe a little higher than 3 feet. And you can see how comfortable they are already. This is Stacy's team now. This isn't even Gage. This is just Stacy's group learning how to swing bars, and they're getting really good and comfortable learning how to go from the paddle mat to the bar, and they don't even have anyone touching them, and they're not afraid. And if they hit a handstand, good. If they fall, it's okay. There's that phrase: hit the wall or fall. So hit the wall or fall. Hit the wall or fall. Okay. And now we see less more of the same, right? Go ahead and run it. Yeah, because now we're on a real bar, right? There's the Alfong spotting blocks, the tower. Okay. We have the plank, and we have the padded mat, just because if they start to swing and they go a little bit low, they're going to hit something soft and not something hard. So now they're actually about maybe a little under 5 feet, maybe 4.5 feet, and now they're starting to swing on a real set of bars with those kinds of conditions. It's a little different doing something on a floor bar than it is doing something on a higher bar. But again, we did the progressions, which made this an achievable uh, exercise. From those circles, now you can do things like this. Now we're using, again, the Alfong spotting blocks. We have a waffle, and Miss Emily's going to actually show you how we go from a handstand to a handstand and more, which means we're going to release. Handstand and more, release. There's your waffle. There's your setup for the Japash. In this case, it was a ray. Yeah. All of this would not have been possible if we didn't have the clear hip machine to start the whole swinging education. There you go, Ray. Okay, coaches, doesn't that look safe? It is safe. Look at the faces of the gymnasts. Are they crying? Are they whimpering? Are they stalling? No, none of that, because by now they're comfortable with learning how to swing from a handstand to a handstand and more, whether it's a shapash or a ray or anything like that, with a hand change, handstand, handstand, and more. Yeah, no fear. Now you can see it on a high bar with Kara Aker, our Olympian from 2020, or 21 actually, and she's now doing big girl stuff, and this is the toe ray right into a full twisting pack. But it all started from the humble beginnings of the clear hip machine on the floor. Oh, am I ahead of you, or are you working your ahead of me? Oh, I didn't go far enough. Let's see what I did. Yeah, okay. So now let's watch Leanne. Now you saw the bar cage before. We were practicing the 1001, Now let's watch Leanne just playing add-on on the bars from a handstand to a handstand. Okay, 1001, 1001, circle 1001. Okay. All right. So I'm going to finish this presentation off with routines. So you get to see now these are routines that involve the elite competitions, international competitions, Olympic competitions from gymnasts who were raised on the clear hip machine. Handstand to a handstand. Enjoy. Here's Evie. We'll just rifle through it. Just let it play. Handstand to a handstand. Of course, we got the circles, we got the releases, we got the high-low, we got the low-high. What I mean by that is you have to have requirements. You're releasing a high bar to a low bar, and you have to release from a low bar back to a high bar. And then, of course, you have to crank up a giant so that you can execute a dismount. Okay, this is a junior elite, Miss Evie. All right, next routine. Yep, you have Annalisa. This is the same meet. It was an American Classic of this year, 2022. Handstand, circle, with a pirouette. There's your low bar high, release. There's your handstand, circle to a circle handstand. There's a high bar to a low bar release. And there's a low bar, high bar release. There's your circle. There's your handstand to a handstand. There's your same bar release. And there's your pirouette cranking for the dismount. Good. Perfect. All right. Oh, Marissa's got a routine. Yeah, we just got, what, 1, 2, 3 more? It's just fun watching. So during the process of these gymnasts, when they're level 4 and then level 5, my biggest goal was to make the gymnasts fall in love with swinging bars. Fall in love with swinging. So that means you do things on the floor. That means you bend your knees. That means you have low bars. That means you have plenty of mats so that they can learn progressively, safely, without fear. And that's how you get them to fall in love with swinging bars. Okay. Well, that's Marissa. Ivana Hong, okay, 2008 Olympian from GAGE. Look at the variations inward. There's a handstand. There's that cool skill there. Going into a German giant. Going. Handstand. There's Stalder. So remember that handstand I was talking about, 1001? So you see this in the same concept in a routine, only it goes super fast. Quickly, quickly. There's your pirouette with a 1001. There's your release. There's your crank giants. Crank, crank to dismount. And there we go. Courtney McCool. I love this routine because she is so precise in what she does. Looks like a Rubik's Cube, where it's very definitely crank, lock, handstand, boom, boom. It's very precise. Get some release going. All right. Nice Ginger. Okay. There's your your handstand with the 1.5 pirouette. Nice pirouette. Low bar, high bar. This was in 2004. Courtney McCool, USA Olympian, Gage girl. Boom. Taryn Humphrey, 2004 Olympian, Gage girl. An amazing routine. Almost done here. So actually, she did this when she was, I think, 11 years old, and one of her very first international competitions. It's called the Pontiac Classic. You can see the handstands. You can see the rule that I always use from a handstand to a handstand. Handstand, 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 high bar, low bar, high bar, handstand, cranking. Lots of variety in these routines over the ages. These are all GAGE girls, so in case you guys don't know. Okay, Brenda Dow, one of the first girl in the United States to start using these kinds of skills with a release with a cross hand. She didn't actually invent it, but she normalized it for the U.S. girls and people around the world right now. So there's all the handstands. Here's a big release. And getting ready for the dismount. In conclusion, almost done. There we go. The clear hip machine was born out of necessity. It became my substitute teacher, my substitute coach, as my assistant coach, if you will, because I was too busy teaching preschool. I can combine numerous levels from a beginner level gymnast to an advanced level, all on this clear hip machine, all at the same time. There's not many events you can do this with, and not many stations, but this is one of them. So gymnasts can work clear hips, the toe hands, and inwards, the stalders, and the full pirouettes using this station. And that's the presentation. I don't know if there's any questions. You do have some? Yeah, let's fire away.
If you have a really talented kid, but she's afraid, do you just let her stay at each station until she feels comfortable?
So the question is, if I have a gymnast who's afraid, but she's talented, do I let them stay at a station? Is that what the question is? Absolutely. So when there's nothing that we haven't been able to do to finally get to a point where we can take the fear out of some skill for a gymnast. Maybe it's moving the mats closer. Maybe it's patting the mats. Maybe it's spotting the gymnast. Maybe it's going back a step. Whatever it takes, there's got to be a point in time in her gymnastics where she's not afraid of something. So yes, if she needs to stay there longer than another gymnast, then that's what she does. So I have a philosophy that we use in GAGE. It's called a Build-A-Bear philosophy. And so we don't try to compare the gymnast with other gymnasts like a bear. If you build your own bear, it's your bear, right? You don't worry about Susie and her bear because she might have the skirt that she bought, but your bear might have pants. It's your bear. It's your gymnastics. So if you need to take more time to learn a skill, then that's what you do. Okay, until you no longer become afraid. Try to imagine the first time you did a back handspring. You're a little bit afraid, but years later, you do handsprings so much you're not afraid anymore. Same concept. Same. Yeah? Any? Is that good?
How do you handle a kid who may have a mental block?
So mental blocks can be a number of things, but one of the biggest building mental block issues come from not enough progressions, not enough safety procedures, but oftentimes too much talking. You sometimes are the kids that have mental blocks. The people that are trying to teach are putting way too much emphasis on something that's not important. So essentially, they're taking the fun. They're taking the fun out of gymnastics. So if you can find something, go back in time, go back to a previous step, in like for vaulting, for instance. If they're afraid of running fast at a vault table, and they're fearful, therefore they slow way down before they hit the board, then maybe create some kind of a drill where it doesn't even have a vault table and it just has a run and maybe a board and you don't have to worry about it. You just took the fear out of the gymnast, and over time then they get over that. And then their mental block comes usually when someone has some anxiety. And I'll just speak for Al Fong. I'm not going to be pointing at you guys out there. I'm going to say Al Fong, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if that gymnast had a mental block, it was Al Fong all over that kid. It was Al Fong getting mean and then yelling and saying, "What are you? You're not listening to me. You're being distracted. It'd be it's Al Fong's fault. It was Alice Fong because he was yelling at that kid instead of trying to figure out what was wrong with the gymnast and where were the issues with the fear. So a lot of times, if we can break it down and make sure it's safe and the kid feels comfortable and then give them time. The biggest thing is don't create deadlines, especially for young gymnasts. If you eliminate the deadlines that people have to accomplish things, usually takes care of itself. Again, speaking about me, okay, not any of you. There's the Al Fong 20 years ago that was creating all of these mental problems. But I figured out a way to solve that.
Do you teach gymnasts to use their thumbs over the bar when shifting the handstand?
Do I teach gymnasts to what?
To use their thumbs over the bar?
Oh, thumbs. I thought you said phones. Okay,
Thumbs.
phones. Okay, okay. Is this a trick question? Phone. Hello, hello. So that's another subject, right? So answers yes, and then answers no. Do I prefer thumbs around, like around the? Let's see how do I do this. Around the bar? Yeah, I do. That's my preference, right? But some kids, their hands are so small they can't do it. And then some kids just feel comfortable. I try to encourage everyone to give thumbs. So I try to encourage, like a pack, for instance. I try to encourage putting a thumb around so that they can stop. And I try to encourage people to cast and then change to a thumb up. Yeah, I'd like to see that, but I don't make a big deal of it. But there's certainly valuable to being able to hang on to a bar using the fingers and the thumbs over and around.
One more.
Yeah.
How long does it typically take to take the kids through the clear hip machine process from floor bar to regular bar?
So, so the question is, how long does it take for a gymnast to go from a low bar, the first time getting used to that station, to actually getting on to a real bar? And I'm assuming a real bar without the Al Fong spotting blocks or anything like that. It it kind of depends on the athletes. We have gymnasts out here right now that took them a day, just one day, and then we have had other gymnasts they've spent maybe a month to be able to go from the floor bar to an Alfong station and walking the clear machine to a circle. And then someday, and some kids who just go naturally go from a handstand right to a handstand, so it's all over the board. But I can guarantee you, if there's no deadlines, people will get the skill. The kids will get the skill, and you don't have to spot very much, and you don't have to say very much. Okay, take the pressure off of you, coaches. Just make it easy. Let the gymnast learn, okay, organically, and you're going to have a lot of fun. So, any more?
Will this content be recorded and shared?
Yeah. I hope I hope we did a better job with this recording, right? I didn't have any issues with my mic right here, or Zoom was being a weirdo and all that stuff. So these recordings now are going to be posted on my alphone.com, my subscription. So they will definitely be recorded so you can review them again. Now the subscription has got like tons. I got so many videos of teaching you name it on whatever event you want, and exercises and dance and more and more. It's really a great resource. It's an encyclopedia of all these things that GAGE does, and I've done over the decades, the 4 decades. So it's the same thing. So all of these recordings will be on that, and you'll be able to find it there. Oh,
What do you do for like helping this, like get more comfortable with the drop for the clear?
How do you help kids get more comfortable with the drop from the clear? And then do you describe the open to handstand as a pulling or a pushing motion?
Yeah. So okay. Again, here's this thing. You've got these gymnastics experts that are teaching these kids. They're telling the kids way too much. Okay. GAGE. The only thing that we require the kids to do is to learn to go from a handstand to a back around, ultimately to a handstand. So, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to happen the first time. If we can convince the girls to go to a handstand, at least drop to the bar, elbows straight and drop. Whether their hips touch or not doesn't matter to me. they're successful. And if they feel successful, they're going to high five themselves, and we're all going to high five them because they went from a handstand down to at least a support or a back hip circle. And then we're going to ask them to do it again, and we're going to do it again. So now, when it comes to actually staying away from the bar, going from a handstand, dropping through, staying away from the bar so you can do a clear hip circle without touching. Again, there's not a lot of conversation about hollow the chest, uh, push the shoulders, drop back, accelerate. None of that stuff. None of that stuff. Okay? Gage just says try to circle as fast as you can. Literally, I'm not joking about this. Circle as fast as you can. Try not to touch the bar with the hips. Boom, 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 boom. That's all I do. And then you let them try. And they're going to touch the bar, but you let them try again. And they're probably going to touch the bar again. But over time, and if you let them try without jabbering all the time, they're going to figure it out. And if you produce a target back there, like I'm on the bar, I'm circling, there's a mat back there. If you said, try to circle around, try to put your feet on the mat back there, guess what? You're going to be shocked without saying anything how quickly the kid's going to go from a handstand, miss the bar, and go back to the mat, and that's where your education starts. Clear hip, okay, clear hip, clear hip. So make one, do two, make two, do three, make three, boom, you go right to the handstand. Did I answer that question? Very good. Got it. Anyone? Love the questions.
Yeah, yeah, that
Love
was
it.
awesome. Thank you.
What's the next topic?
Oh, no more questions. All right. Well, the next topic I'm going to talk about another iconic station that I use. I know a lot of gyms around the world use it, but man, Gage really uses it. It's going to be a strap bar. So we're going to discuss how we make the strap bar and the way we use the strap bar. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, enlightening. And I think everybody that has a gym and has a serious goal for teaching bars, they need to have one of these things. So don't forget, as we speak, I have my elite kids that are training for championships, and more important, I have my exclusive camp from Gem State, and they are training right now with my team, and they're learning so much just by hanging out with my coaches and my team. So I highly encourage that you look into this thing. Because you will be amazed at the culture in the gym and what these kids are going to learn is going to be wonderful, and you can find all that information on alfong.com. So thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate this. It really makes me feel good that someone even wants to know what we're doing. But we got things to share, and I just want to make sure you guys know I'm here to help. All right? Go Gage.
Thank you